Coming up on OTH, Raymond and I discuss all 10 of the LCS teams and the roster moves that they made so far, as well as some international roster changes that have been going on. Then we talk about some of the new changes to the LCS format and some other miscellaneous news. We hope you enjoyed this episode of On the Hunt. Welcome everybody to episode 36 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I'm your co-host Chris, aka Washed Up Platinum. The season's over, man, and that's what I finished. I'm Platinum 3, I believe. Peaked Diamond or peaked Platinum 2 at some point last season, and then I went on like a 7 or 8 loss streak with a buddy of mine, and it was all over from there. And so that's where we are, dude. And joining me on this episode is our other co-host, Raymond. Where did you end up, man? Did you even play your placements?
Whew, man, I feel bad. I did end up ranked in Flex.
Okay.
I didn't finish my placements for solo. We played those 3 games like at the beginning of the season, solo duo queue.
Yeah.
I think I played 2 games of like top lane, and I never played anymore. I was like gold 2 or something after 3 games in placements. So, you know, that's fine. I ended my flex. It was a little disappointing actually. Like usually I just play flex with the boys, you know, like every once in a while we jam out with some 3-man queues or whatever. I was on the last day of the season, I was in my promos to platinum with 1 loss already. Like first of the 5 games was a loss.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh shit, I still have to finish this, like, right? Like this is like my only chance back into plat. We won the first game. I called up the boys. We won the first game and then lost the next 2. It was over. And I was like, all right, that's my season, whatever. So I ended gold 1. So I'm a filthy gold player.
Man.
Filthy gold player like I was back in 2013.
I'm the other way around where I didn't finish my flex queue placements. I only had 5 games in and I was gold 2. So I maybe with like 3 more wins, I could push for a little higher, but it's whatever.
Yeah, it happens. I did play a couple games earlier with our buddy Abdul and some of his friends, you know, as part of the preseason, and you know, I mean, I matched up against Grandmaster ADC and won that game, and then there was a Masters support in the next game, so you know, I'm pretty good, but
yeah, no problem. Yeah, like you're saying, preseason's here. The main season is over. The preseason's here with patch 11.23. But we're not going to talk about that right now because there's infinite time to talk about off-season stuff, and there's more juicier things happening in the present, such as off-season roster moves. So I think that's where we're going to spend a lot of our time discussing this week in this episode. Unfortunately, we're going to skip an Arcane talk this week because I haven't watched the episode 6, so I guess we're just gonna be a week behind with our Arcane discussions or something. Or
I mean, it's just gonna get all lumped together next
week.
Right? Like,
yeah, we'll
no
just
way you're gonna let this happen again, right?
Yeah, next week we'll talk about 4 through 9 all at once, most likely. So yeah, we can just go ahead and get started into this. I'm thinking that you know, it's kind of hard to talk about this stuff in like chronological order, I guess. So we're just gonna run through team by team, or pick out any interesting things that have been confirmed or possibly rumored. And a lot of the roster changes are kind of in place now because all of the signing timing was November 15th at like 4 p.m. And so
free agency started, right? Like
that's the word I'm looking for, dude. I totally blinked on that.
Could be accepted. Contracts could be signed.
Yeah.
Not just contracts a player, but real like paper contracts or digital contracts, I guess, you know. But you get the point.
Signed and finalized. So I'll just go ahead. I'll pick out Golden Guardians here because they're already finished. So
nice. Way to go, Golden Guardians.
Yes, sir. They've got all 5 of their players locked in, and from their last year's roster, they have let go of their support newbie, and then their roster for the 2022 season is going to be top lane Licorice, jungle Pride Stalker, mid lane Ablaze Olive, and then AD carry Lost, who they picked up from TSM, and then Ole is making a return. I saw that he did like a a twit longer,
Woo-hoo!
like a month ago, saying he was looking for teams pretty much anywhere. And
Yep.
he ends up here back in the LCS. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Ole has played for Golden Guardians before, right?
Yeah, he played on Golden Guardians kind of in his last year of like still playing. I don't remember if he was the one that got replaced by Keith. But I looked it up. But yeah, he was on Golden Guardians in 2020, 2018 to 2020 after he left Team Liquid. He was on Golden Guardians for a good the good 2019 season, and then was bouncing around after that for a little bit. But yeah,
I see. I
that was
see.
his last appearance in the LCS.
Well, overall, I don't know how to feel about this roster. Actually, for some reason I still look at the name Licorice and I think, oh, that guy's really good. And then I kind of remember that he didn't have such a hot year last year, and he's gonna be playing with a new jungler. He's still got the same mid and just a brand new bot lane. And so, I look at this team and I think of it as Licorice's team, and I don't know if adding on Lost and Olay, I don't know how that's going to change the dynamic at all, but I guess we'll just have to see. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think I've got actually pretty good hope for this roster. I do think that Licorice and Olive are good solo laners. I don't know. Licorice obviously had weird stuff going on at FlyQuest last year. Kind of as a whole, that team was looking kind of bad. But he did pick things up on Golden Guardians once they made the transfer. So I'm pretty confident in his ability. I think Blaze Olive looked like like he's prepping to be like a solid like middle of the pack at least mid laner. We saw him bringing out like the weird picks like Tom Kench, and he's not afraid to do like AP Kog'Maws and stuff like that. So I think he's looking good. Ole, I think is probably alongside Pride Stalker the bigger question marks on this roster. I think Pride Stalker, I think he was in LEC for at least like a split, or maybe like replace somebody for a game or two. I think on Schalke, and we know how Schalke ended up, But like that was a few years ago, so I think I heard that he's been bouncing around some ERLs and those kind of things. Hopefully he's doing good. I think I remember he started as like a Rengar one trick, like many of our beloved NA junglers being like Acadian and Dardoch. So there's precedence for him. And Ole, like you said, not playing for a while. I think he's like, I mean, Ole is probably like the most storied player on this team. I guess besides Licorice being a world's semifinalist, but Ole was fucking good too when he had his heyday. So if they can, recollect some of those things, and I think this is a solid roster.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can move up any spots. Golden Guardians finished eighth place in the regular springs or summer split last time around, and so we'll see if they can move up any slots from there. You want to pick a team to talk about next?
Sure, dude. Let's go with the easy one and talk about 100 Thieves a little bit. 100 Thieves has not changed anybody on their roster.
Yep.
It's the first time in a long fucking time, I think, maybe ever, that a team that won summer has actually brought back the exact same starting five. Plus, they added their academy top laner Tenacity as like a six man like top lane rotating player if they need to replace someday or whatever. I think they said that they're gonna split time somehow. I don't know the specifics because they've made it clear that someday is like kind of their franchise player guy, and they've kept him around for many years at this point. So I would be surprised to see them like really actually bench him for Tenacity, even if Tenacity is like a really hyped prospect. But I don't know. What do you think? How do you feel about the no changes?
Yeah, so on the point you were saying, I think that the only time a team has not changed ever is just literally 2013 C9 summer to 2014. I think that's the last time I can think of a roster that hasn't changed from summer to spring after winning the championship. Because even 2016 to 17 TSM, they had that double lift for a Wild Turtle kind of swap for the spring split, even though Worlds next year they ended up playing double lift again. And so yeah, I
True.
can't think of. Oh, I guess the other one No, because even Team Liquid, yeah, they swapped out Ole for Core JJ after when they had gone from summer to spring. So yeah, I can't think of many instances when a team won in the summer and then they didn't make a roster move in the off season. Really, just yeah, 2013 C9 with Meteos balls high, sneaking and elimination. I think that's the only time it's never changed. So yeah, it's something usually happens, and I think I am pretty happy about them not making any changes because I actually do want to see them run it back in a sense to see how if they can really prove that they're superstars in this league because they brought in Abadage just for the summer split last split and they ended up winning the whole thing, which is crazy
Mm.
and it's just a crazy improvement over their spring split performance, losing out to TSM, Team Liquid, and C9 in the spring mid championship showdown, whatever dog shit name it was.
There you go. Yeah, mid-season, but you almost got it. Don't worry, we're not Riot affiliated.
Yeah, and then they're also confirmed to keeping Reaper as a coach, I believe, and then they're also adding on Mithy, former head coach of Cloud9, to their coaching staff as well. And so yeah, I'm really excited to see the same players run it back, and then they'll just add on Tenacity, who is also confirmed. Tenacity's not going to play Academy. They're just like you said, literally just gonna split time. We'll see how that actually ends up, but that's their prodigy
Mm.
there allegedly. So I'll I'm
Right.
happy to see what if that ends up being a sword and shield thing again or something like that, or if that will actually matter. But I'm excited for this roster.
Yeah, me too. I think, like you said too, I think it's definitely a point to prove that that they believe in all their guy. I don't know, like I'm thinking about Abadage, like you said, he comes on just for summer last year, and then they win and go to Worlds, right? Like, I think it's impressive that they kept him, just because we've seen like as we'll get to as we go through the rest, like we've seen so many other guys already leave like NA as EU imports, So it's kind of cool to see that they got a guy in, actually won, and then actually kept him rather than winning and having them bounce around or leave again.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see that a European import came in and got to see some success. Him and Perks both saw success last year. Although some imports in the past have come through, like Febivin, um, did not see very much success. So I'm glad, and even like SOAS and stuff like that, they came to the LCS and didn't do too hot. And
Holy shit, I
overall,
forgot Soaz was in the LCS for
yeah,
what the
which is
hell. Yep.
crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
true.
I just remember him like wreaking some havoc in some games, and just actually just being SOAS,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm glad Abadage really got to shine in the last split.
All right, dude, take it away. Pick us a new team.
Sure. Yeah, let's go with another completed team as well with Immortals. I'm actually pretty excited about this roster. I think they got a couple of upgrades around there. So they are keeping their um, top lane jungle and support with Revenge, Xerxes, and Destiny. And then they added in two players this offseason confirmed, which is PoE mid and Wild Turtle. So those two are reunited, having formerly played together on FlyQuest. And then Wild Turtle's back in Immortals as well, having played back for them back in like 2016 with Huni, Rainover, and Pobelter. And so this is just a return to the organization, even though it's not really the same management anymore. Um, but last season I think we saw Immortals have a couple of good games here and there, and I'm looking forward to see if Revenge has improved after playing a full year in LCS, and it looks like he's got a team, or at least he's got an organization that believes in him, and we'll continue to
Mm.
see him grow. And then they're adding on some veteran talent to play alongside him as well, and I'm looking forward to see if Xerxes has improved as well, and I'm glad to see that he's also decided to stay in the LCS and not head back after a year as well. So that's my initial thoughts spilling out there. What do you think about this Immortals roster?
Yeah, I think I like this team too. Revenge and Xerxes, I think, were kind of the highlights of that team last season. I think the one thing is that I'm sad that Insanity left. I liked him as a mid laner too. Like I think I attributed it to a Blaze earlier, but Insanity was like the AP Kog'Maw. He'd pick the weird, like, solo queue flavor of the month picks. Like, I like that stuff, and he's a carry jungler or carry mid laner. Um, so I'm sad to see him go. just as a NA, native and upcoming mid kind of guy. But yeah, I think it's hard to argue that PoE isn't an upgrade there, and Turtle probably is an upgrade over Raze as well, right? Who was on this team, right? Um,
Yeah, it was Ray's AD carry. Yeah, and I think they've officially
yeah,
released him, or they're
right.
something's gonna go on there.
Yeah, so I think it's hard to argue that this team isn't better than the team that we had last year, and as well if you account for Revenge's improvement, like being in the league, like you said, for a full year now, as well as just being a promising talent even before like he had a lot of this experience. So I think there's definitely potential for Immortals to shake things up. It's going to depend a little bit on how everybody syncs together for sure. They lost their coach too, right? Gilotto, as we'll talk later, went to Team Liquid. Um, Supposedly, right? I guess that's not announced, but uh, I think that's probably the biggest blow to this roster is not having the solid coach stick around. But we'll see how they do.
For sure. You want to pick the next one?
Sure. Let's see. Who else have we gotten? Um, I guess let's go with one of the bigger shakeups so far, and head over to Evil Geniuses. What do you think about EG?
Yeah, so it looks like EG. I think they have two players confirmed with Vulcan support and Jojo Pyun middle. And I think some rumors have talked about Danny staying on the team, but I don't know if that's 100% like confirmed in writing or in an announcement just yet. I think I was, and then also what is confirmed is they also released Jizuke from the organization as well. So still outstanding is top laner and jungle. I think we heard some rumors that they're looking to pull Inspired from the LEC.
From Rogue?
Yeah, from
Yeah.
LEC. Um, and then I think it sounds like they have another import slot open, but also haven't heard anything about what's going to happen to Impact. But I would hope that they keep Impact on this team because he's a really solid top laner with residency status, and so far I'm not sure how I feel about this roster actually, but just because I don't know anything about the mid laner. I think he's a 17-year-old um,
Hmm.
who was in the.
He was a Fortnite pro.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I think he was in Evil Geniuses Academy, so I think they're just pulling him up to play in the mid
Right.
lane for the main roster, and then that's just it. And so they'll have some pretty young players, JoJo and Danny, on this roster, and some veteran talent with Vulcan. Inspired allegedly, and then we'll see if Impact sticks around as well. If Impact does stick around, I'm interested to see how they'll do. But rookie mid lane talent, which is like, is this going to be your first year in LCS? Like I can picture. I just picture rookies getting caught all of the time, and so I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this roster so far. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm less cautious about Jojo Pien, I think, than you are. I've I don't know if you follow Tim Seven Hoizen, whatever
Oh yeah,
however you
the
say his
the
name on
Oracle
Twitter.
elixirs guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's been like super hype on Jojo Pion like since he debuted in Academy. Like I was saying, this guy was like I'm pretty sure like not 2 or 3 years ago was just a Fortnite pro and didn't pick up League until after he quit Fortnite and then played last year Academy for EG and is now, age eligible for LCS and is just like the stories around him like it's already like he has this hype around him as the next goat of NA kind of or at least he has that ceiling, the potential, which
Okay.
is always what you want to hear, right? The
Uh
potential,
huh.
as the CLG fans will know. um yeah, so I think I'm excited to see that EG kind of stuck with them. I know the other big rumor about EG this offseason was that they deliberately denied the Jensen and double lift combo to build their team around, because they wanted Jojo Pion and Danny to stay on the team. So like that's I think the goes to show the level of confidence that EG has as an organization in these young players. So it's exciting to see that, I think.
Yeah, and I'll be excited to see Vulcan working with alongside Danny. I want to see how that relationship goes, and maybe I might watch like if EG has like a YouTube series or something like that. I want to see how that relationship pans out between those two.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it reminds me a lot of just like the many Afromu pairings that we've had over the last few years, like with Neo and Afromu, or Cody Sun when he first started up, like those kind of pairings. Um, I think that's kind of a definitely a cool one to watch. I bet they'll be a good bot lane.
For sure. Yeah, and I'll see, well, I want to see if just yeah, I want to see how Vulcan's play style evolves when he's gonna have to play with somebody other than Sven, who he played with for. Did they play together for 2 years? Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, at this point,
he's been with a he played with a veteran AD carry for about 2 years, and we'll see how it's like when he drops to somebody who one just doesn't have as much experience, and two may or may not be as consistent as Sven. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
right? I mean, he earned himself $1.5 million when he um was playing with Cody Sun, right? So
Yeah. Okay. I guess next one we could just talk about really quick. Could be CLG. They ended up releasing all of their players from the organization, including Finn, whoever their jungler was, Damonte, Wild Turtle, and Smoothie. And then the only player that they have confirmed so far is Contracts. And I think they also confirmed that I think they have like a new person who runs their management. And then they also picked up Think Card as their coach. But that's it. They've only confirmed one player so far, and I really cannot. Oh, it's Broxa, dude. I feel so bad. But yeah, they released all five of their players from the roster. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think it was probably to be expected. I think that last season, like, or CLG made it clear when they got a new GM. I think that they were ready to wipe the floor, like clean of anything old CLG. So I think it's not really like a fault of any of the players. I don't think this says like, hey, you guys aren't LCS potential, like as evidenced by Wild Turtle already being on a new team, right? Um, like that's just kind of how it goes. You got a new GM. He said, "Let's burn the place down," and I think that's pretty fair given how bad CLG has been. Um, so yeah, I think it was bound to happen, and them getting all the new coaches, I think that's kind of the right thing to do, rather than try and pick like, oh, you were the best of this dumpster fire or anything like that. Like if you can do it and rebuild in time for the new season, then go ahead and do it. Like I think that makes a lot of sense as the incoming GM. Um, so yeah, I'm like you said, we only have contracts confirmed now, but I've heard rumors that they're getting more like up and coming guys, like a lot of guys out of academy or like the lower LCS teams, um, from the last couple of years. So we'll see how that actually ends up. But I think it's a good look for CLG.
Yeah, and yeah, speaking of contracts, and we had just talked about Evil Geniuses, so it does seem like Contracts and Sven Skaren were both released from Evil Geniuses. So it doesn't look like Sven Skaren is going to be playing for Evil Geniuses next year as well, and that he's looking for a team. Which there are still some unknowns throughout the all of the rosters here. So we'll see where they end up going to. You want to pick the next team to talk about?
Sure, dude. Let's go real quick over to Dignitas. We hit Dignitas just today with some new news. They have currently they've kept Neo as their AD carry, and they just today announced Biofrost as their support. So I'm glad to see Bio Daddy back in the LCS. And then I think they've hired. I don't know if they've announced the new coach or the new mid, but there's been at least like some pretty confirmed rumors that they got like an EU coach and Blue as their mid laner, who, if you followed LEC, I think he was on SK a year or two ago. Um, wasn't very good. They were like a pretty middle of the pack team. Blue was like a pretty below average mid laner. So there's a lot kind of that's been said already about him like in that decision. But like overall, I think I'm glad to see the bot lane that they get kept. They've let go of a lot of guys otherwise in their organization, which is kind of surprising. Like Acadian, Soligo, Aframu, all guys that had good LCS like were good LCS players, I think. Gisui, who they had put a lot of faith in the years prior, and they've let him go now, and Lorlo and JJ. I don't know. They're doing like kind of a rebuild too, but not quite. They picked Neo to stay, and we'll see how the rest of their team shakes up.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. It looks like the only people they'll keep from the old roster is going to be Neo and maybe Fake God. I guess nothing's confirmed yet, but kind of a shame that they're not going to be the full NA roster again this year if they're going to look to sign Blue. But yeah, interesting that they wanted to pick up Biofrost here, which was announced today, and I'll look forward to see how they're going to round the roster up. But uh, I'm not particularly hyped about this roster, except looking forward to see how Neo does in the following year.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. Yeah, I think I forgot about Fake God too, but yeah, those are two good young players I think too that between Neo and Fake God that even if they just have like a pretty normal year, maybe they have another like tear of a couple weeks like they did to start what was it summer this year where they looked like they could be a real team or that I guess that was spring where people thought Dignitas is fucking OP, right? Um so maybe they can shake things up like that. But yeah, definitely wouldn't have championship aspirations for this roster.
Ouch. Okay. I think the next team that we can talk about is can be one of the top teams. So we can just go with Team Liquid. They're pretty simple so far. I believe sources confirmed that they really are looking to pick up Bjergsen mid lane, Whippo top lane, and Hansama AD carry. With that, allegedly they might have to pull up their academy support because if Hansama and Whippo are both take up the import slots, and in that case, I guess Core JJ couldn't play if he can't get his green card in time, which is kind of weird to me. I would actually think the other way around, where like the top or the AD don't play to save room for Core JJ, and you guys can just use
Right.
Jenkins or something like that, which is kind of weird. And then you had kind of brought this up earlier, but it sounds like they're gonna pull in Gihoto.
Just say it quick. Don't.
Yeah,
Yeah. Gilhoto.
Gihoto. Yeah, whatever. It looks like they're gonna pull him in to be the head coach, um, to kind of replace the jungler Cold, who was kind of the coach after Jat had left Team Liquid last year. Um, so that's what their roster's looking like. What do you think about so far?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to not be super hyped for Team
I'm
Liquid,
super hyped.
like just based on that roster. You know, Bjergsen and Core JJ are probably like the two best players that we've seen like on an individual level out of the LCS in a while, like in the last few years. Even when Bjergsen retired, um, and then I think in general they just have top three players like in every role
Yep.
on a given day. Like I think Hansama and Core JJ is probably one of the best. Like they will stomp bottom lanes that like you that's like the biggest test of skill for any like opposing bottom lane. And they will like not let you get out of lane. I'm sure of it. Uh, I think Whippo is like a really solid player. I think that's probably the biggest question mark of a pickup for this like super team. But I think he's still pretty good. It's just like, could there have been a better option and maybe one with less potential drama based off this last Worlds? Um, but yeah, I'm definitely excited for what Team Liquid is going to bring next year. I think the other thing to note just about the coaches real quick, I think that from what I've heard, it's not they're not like replacing Cold like that. He's probably still going to stick around. And one note on that was that Gilhoto was the coach of the Origin team that Cold was on last when he was the last player in the LEC. So there's some history there, pretty sure.
Thank you for that, sir. And speaking of coaches, um, not to spark drama, but I actually hope that Whippo can bring his girlfriend to NA with him because, and I'm being serious here because there have been some players in the past who separate from their significant others when they come to play in the LCS. Febivin comes in
Hmm.
mind. Another one, I believe Chovy, TSM AD carry, he also left behind like a relationship that didn't. I don't
Yeah,
remember if she came to NA with him. I think it's
I don't think so. But that was also like COVID and stuff, so I'm
yeah, that
sure it
was
would have
also
gotten
probably weird COVID stuff.
scrapped even if they had plans.
Or even if she was here, then she had to go back like really early
Yeah,
because she didn't have a visa to stay, like a working visa to stay or something like that. Which, and I guess Kabe
right,
went back pretty quickly as well after one split. But anyways,
right.
um, so being as outspoken as he is about his relationship, I hope that they can both come to NA, or else there's gonna be some weird shit happening in the Alienware Team Liquid facility.
Yeah, true. For the sake of the team, let's hope that Bilbo's girlfriend can come.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah, that's it for Team Liquid. Pretty, and they've actually been pretty quiet on that front. We'll talk a bit more about Core JJ later on. Let's go ahead and
Yeah,
talk.
I think they
Go
said
ahead.
I think I saw today like Team Liquid people like tweeting and stuff like that that all their deals were finally done. So we'll probably hear some news like today being Wednesday, tomorrow or Friday about them actually announcing everybody.
Yeah, I think I saw Santorin tweet, contract signed GIF or whatever, and then I think I saw TL Dodo tweet something out today as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah.
Um, let's go ahead and let's just move over to Cloud9. There's a lot of changes going on there. And
Whew.
a couple of things happened here. So I think first of all, I think on Sunday, Monday or Sunday, Travis Gaffer came out with the video. He was saying that according to his sources, it looked like the team was going to be Fudge middle, Sven AD carry, Blabber jungle, and they were going to pull up their support from Academy, some guy named Isles, who allegedly is pretty good, but that's not the point. And the top laner is going to be Summit. I believe he played for Sandbox over in LCK. I'm not too sure actually.
I think so. Yeah, that sounds right.
It's a Korean top laner is all you really need to know. And then yesterday, some rumors came out about them bringing on somebody named Berserker, who is also an ADC from LCK. And today, more reports came out that that's more in line of what's actually going to happen. So it looks like their overall roster is looking like it's going to be top lane Summit, um, mid jungle Blabber and Fudge, and then the bottom lane is going to be Berserker AD carry and some other South Korean support who is born in the United States. So he actually is considered to have NA residency for some reason, although he has played in the LCK. So there's that. Just suddenly, Cloud9 sounds like they're gonna bring in a couple of Korean players. And speaking of Korean,
Three Korean players.
yeah, and speaking of Korean, it also sounds like they're pretty actively pursuing LS as well, who is currently signed to T1, to my understanding, and is based out in South Korea. But it looks like Cloud9 are pursuing him to be the head coach of their team now that Mithi has left for Team Liquid or is looking to leave. What do you? I don't know what part you want to start with first, but what do you think about all of that I dumped onto you?
Yeah, I think let's just start with the roster. I'm pretty hyped about Summit. I think that he's like from what I've heard about him is that he's like a really good player. You know, I imagine him filling the spot that Alfari kind of took last year of just being like the top laner who's gonna dick down every other top laner in the LCS. Um, and then the Fudge move is not too surprising to me. Following like LS and Fudge, like as they've had conversations together and talked about, and like LS talking about Fudge as a player, I'm like I don't think that they like there's not a big difference in like how he is gonna play the game as a mid laner as opposed to a top laner. Just like it's different champs essentially, but like he still knows how to play the game and is pretty fucking good at it. So I've got faith in that like role swap and just like that top side as a whole. What has more surprised me the last couple of days have happened is this like total shift away from Sven and Vulcan. Even just Sven, like it seems like there was that talk earlier about them getting Winsome, the Korean but not a Korean resident support,
Yeah,
and it was like, wow, they're really keeping Sven. They let Vulcan go, but they're keeping Sven. Like Vulcan has seemed like such a good player, and Sven with like the issues kind of that they had as a team last year. Like it's like I would have expected them to just find a new AD in the first case, but then bring in Berserker, who I think was a T1 Challengers or Academy player, um, like behind, which would mean that he was behind like Teddy and Gumiushi, right? Like in the T1 org.
must have been. Yeah,
Um, yeah, so I'm less surprised if that's the route that they're going, right? That they would get rid of Vulcan and then replace him with a Korean support and then find like also a Korean ADC player. Uh, but I think it does suck. Like I think as a roster, they look good. We'll see how the bottom lane duo works out. Those are like definitely the less known quantities, I would think. And then as like a fan of like C9 the org, it's surprising to me to see them shift so far to imports and Koreans. Like they might, at this point they might as well be teaching Fudge and Blabber like how to speak some Korean to communicate than like have a English language like speaking team. So I'm surprised to see that shift from like we talked about earlier, balls Meteos high sneaky and lemon roster of old.
yeah. To round that out, I'm glad. It sounds like they're gonna have a Korean infrastructure. I'm assuming Rainover is still gonna be somewhere on that coaching staff, and if they're looking to bring over LS, then hopefully he can help to pad that kind of environment for all of these sudden influx of Korean players. Which honestly, now I'm hyped for off season because like moves like this that just kind of come out of nowhere that and introducing. I'm actually more excited for this kind of new talent to arrive as opposed to just some proving ground amateurs or let's just give a Blaze Olive and
Mhm.
Insanity a second year. Like I'm not as hyped for that. I am hyped about external talent being injected into my veins here. And then yeah, to your Sven point, yeah, I thought that was really interesting and as well because I wanted to see if they wanted to stick with him. Sven has brought them two titles on during his time with Cloud9, and it's kind of a shame because if it means that Sven's not going to be on Cloud9, then I don't know what other team in the LCS he could go to be honest. And in the end,
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think everybody that we've talked about has already had an ADC locked, right?
yeah, I'm like if anything, like I guess FlyQuest and CLG we're not too sure about, um, and even TSM. I guess TSM hasn't announced anything, but we'll talk about more about that later. And so it's just this is kind of weird. And I wonder if Sven is fucked of with regards to like is he gonna have to play an academy or something, or is he gonna go back to LEC? Like Sven's been here for 2018, 19. He's been here for 4 years actually.
17,
Yeah, so
yeah,
next year is going to
yeah.
be his fifth year. Um, and I'm sure there are some spots for him in LEC who would welcome him in with open arms, honestly. Um,
Yeah.
and it would be interesting to see him somehow end up on G2 if possible. I just like kind of thought about that, but probably not possible. But yeah, I really want to know what's going to happen to him.
Yeah, I will. I'll also agree with your point. I think this is a definitely the prime spot for LS to finally get like a high profile head coaching job. Um, I feel like after last year's situation with T1 where he got like kind of screwed out of any potential for coaching there,
Yeah,
um, and now with C9, getting the staff of like Max Waldo and Viger V2, who are like also in kind of like Ellis's circle of I don't know what the word is, but like
it's kind of weird. It's
they all
like
have
LS's
like
circle jerk.
yeah, I wasn't gonna say that word, but like they definitely all like think about the game in a similar way. I think it's very cool to like CC9 take like that approach if they can entice them to play like or to coach for them. Having the other guys that have been there and shown like, hey, we can bring success to a roster with whatever these ideas, and then like you bring in the guy who's like definitely been more of the outward face about those kind of things. I think that'll be really cool to see how C9 does if he can stay on or come on as the coach.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he ends up doing. And just regards to his story, yeah, you're pointing out that it sounded like he was gonna have a coaching position at T1 last year, and that he might have gotten screwed out of it for one reason or another. But then he ended up being a content creator there for pretty much the whole year, doing some co-streaming as well. And he's kind of done it all. He did some coaching for Gravity way back in the day. Did some coaching for Sandbox. Is that the same team or? No, I think I'm thinking of Yamato Cannon. But I thought LS did do some coaching as
Yeah.
well with like that Malice guy. Maybe I'm tripping.
Yeah, with BBQ Oliver.
Oh,
So I think
okay,
he was
right,
doing like Challengers Korea
right, yeah.
coaching
So that
there,
I think that was
but
the last
not
time
at
he
an
did
LEC
some.
level.
That was the last time he did some official coaching. So, if he's
Hmm.
interested in taking this position with Cloud9, he would have to leave South Korea. Um, well, I would think. I don't. I really doubt they would do remote
Yeah, maybe.
coaching. Um, but he's kind of done it all, and I'm excited to see the next saga in his career, I guess, and as a public figure, and then also just to see if he can really put the brains to the test, and then if Fudge and the team can execute on that.
Yeah, and I think it's probably the right group of players too for what he wants to do. It sounds like I've heard praise from LS, just through Twitter or whatever about almost everybody on the team, minus the minus maybe Blabber. He probably doesn't like Blabber that much, but the rest of the way.
I would actually think LS likes Blabber. I think LS would probably look at Blabber as like, you know how Ellis talks about like just watch his solo queue, watch his movement and the way he play. Like I would think that he
Yeah,
probably
but
enjoys Blabber's the way that he plays or his aggressiveness
he
at
probably
least.
likes his mechanics, but not his intent. I think that's a lot of like Ellis's stuff. I think is like I want him to know that what he's doing is wrong, and I think Blabber when he does his crab flips might not be thinking that it's wrong.
Yeah. Well, maybe they can work on that together. We'll see.
True.
Not a lot of teams left for us to talk about. Um, so we
Let's hit the let's save our best for last and go to FlyQuest first.
Yeah, so over on FlyQuest, I believe that they've announced two people as well, which is Aframu as their support and a mid laner named Tukui. I guess I don't know how to pronounce that, but I
Yeah,
believe that's a
I
mid
think that's how
laner.
you say his name.
A mid laner also signed from, I believe he came from the French Regional League, so LFL, and we'll talk more about LFL
Hmm.
later on. And I think I had listened to the free agency so on Monday, where I might be making this up. I don't remember, but it sounds like Johnson is likely going to stay here in FlyQuest. Um,
Hmm.
and I feel like I might have heard something about Jose Diodo staying a while back as well. So I'm not sure what the top lane is going to look like, but not a lot of official announcements here for FlyQuest so far. What do you think about these kind of few things that we do know about them?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm glad that they're picking Johnson up. Like likely, that's what the signs point to. Are like Johnson, and if they do pick up Afromu as well, then that's reuniting the dig bot lane of a couple years ago, which I also was a fan of.
Yeah,
Um, the Tukui signing, I think is like it's a little weird. It's like this guy from an LFL team. He wasn't like the biggest LFL mid laner or something. It's like a little out of left field for a lot of people. Um, like I think more people in the LEC probably heard of the guys that came out of Cape Corp. Like when Adam joined Fnatic last season, that's an LFL product, and there are other players that seem to be joining other LEC teams this season off of that team, which is like the biggest French league team. Like there's all the hype there. Um, so it's like it's weird to see him come now, but if it fits FlyQuest, I think as an org, being the team that signs Jose Diodo last year and is picking up the more of the international, like we're pulling fan favorite players from these smaller leagues to give them like a chance to play on like a big stage in the LCS. I think that's cool, and they're trying to diversify their fan base, kind of like if you're just being like I want to win LCS and get NA fans, then like probably the only teams that you're can actually do that are like Team Liquid, C9, and 100 Thieves, like the big orgs, and you're FlyQuest, and you're like, yeah, we don't have that budget, we don't have that personnel, like let's just pick up cool players from other regions where we get like dedicated fan bases. I respect that move. Um, but yeah, I don't know. This team feels like it'll probably be kind of similar to what we had last year, like a little bit more veteran presence. But hopefully, hopefully if they can keep Jose Dioto, which I think would be nice for them, then they can, this is a bit more of a stable roster than the like more rookie focused one they had last year.
Yeah, and I'm just suddenly remembering that last year they had Licorice, and then Licorice ended up leaving for Golden Guardians, and then they were just left with Kumo top lane, and that's it. And then Kumo was
Mm.
playing both LCS and Academy, like they were just working him double time. And so,
Yeah,
well, I'm looking forward to see what they'll do for top lane. But in the end, dude, I'm not really excited for this roster. Um, to be honest, yeah, eventually there are some teams who are going to be bottom three, and I see this roster, as it is coming out so far, as not fifth or sixth. So I'm not really too excited about it yet, but
yeah,
they
that's true.
they're not finished, so I'm not excited about them yet.
True. Right. We'll see. We'll see what they can do.
Yes, sir. And then, like you're saying, we just got one last team to talk about, which is TSM, which not a whole lot has been going on here, to be honest. They've still been quiet for a lot of this time. You and I had talked about on a previous episode that they're looking to hold on to Spica and Huni for jungle top, but even that is like technically not confirmed. And some sources came out today that they are looking to pursue and buy out Tactical from Team Liquid. And then on Monday, I had heard from the free agency show that they're looking to pursue Mickey X as well. That one is they've been in some pretty close talks with them, but again, nothing is confirmed yet. So, but what do you think about that so far? Tactical, Mickey X, Spica, and uh, Huni. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm glad as a TSM fan that we still have Spica and Huni. Clear like good performers from last year. I think it's not like obviously things went weird this offseason, like losing Bjergsen not only as like a comeback player but also as head coach. I think throws off a lot of like the plans that you had as an org and like how you promised players the season before, like all that, like that's going to throw a whole lot of stuff off, and they've had to shift kind of their focus, I think, on rebuilding a team. um but I have heard, I think, about the the Mickey X thing is like at this point I've heard that TSM is more likely to go to Korea and look for Korean prospects for the other like roles they are like less confirmed about, like being Tactical and Spica, and even maybe Huni. But I would expect that Huni sticks around at this point. Um, but like for the mid and support roles, I was hearing talk of I think it was Life, who was on Gen G this last year. And I think he's a um like a pretty young player too. Like that this was only like one of his first couple years in the
Oh,
LCK.
really?
And yeah, so he's been a really promising like young Korean support, playing with Ruler, and looking like I think he was having like a kind of rookie of the year split, if I'm not making that kind of stuff up. So I think Life sounds like a pretty good pickup. It's a little weird, I feel like, going straight from like Sword Art being like a big ticket support signing, and then Life being a big ticket support signing, and we've already had Mithy being a big ticket support signing. Like I feel like TSM does not have a good history of big ticket support signings. But
Unfortunately.
looking after Life, yeah, I think Life could be a good pickup for them. And then if they're still looking at getting a different um, Korean mid too. Chovy is always available as per usual. So so we'll see how things shake up. I don't expect that we'll hear anything for a little bit from the TSM side. And maybe we'll just end up it'll be fucking Huni, Spica, Insanity, Tactical, and like Ayla or something after Cloud9 gets their whole roster together. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, and another thing, I guess I haven't heard of anything about their coaching roster as well because of head coach Bjergsen is leaving the organization, and I think they released that Curry guy as well not too long ago. So I'm still thinking about what their coaching staff is going to look like. But yeah, their mid lane is largely unconfirmed, so there's still some room for excitement here out in the off season for a couple of teams left in the LCS.
Oh, I didn't hear about the Curry drop. That's actually like I'm sad about that.
Yeah, I think he
I like
announced like
Curry.
a while ago, actually, like sometime during Worlds, that he's not with the organization anymore, if I remember that correctly.
Really? It's still on his Twitter.
Hmm. Maybe I just
I
yeah,
don't know.
maybe I have that wrong.
I saw that K's resigned.
Oh, okay.
And so did Peter Zhang, I think,
Right.
right? Or did Peter, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he's still academy coach, I
So
believe.
right, right. But I would be surprised. I guess I would be surprised that Curry would leave. I would have thought that like
I would think, yeah,
that this would be a
if Curry stays,
position for
then
him
I
to
would
be
think he would
head
be head
coach.
coach. Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess also I would think maybe they're looking to get a Korean coach too if they also end up with like Life and and Chovy just saying Chovy's available. If they also ended up with multiple like Korean players, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to go with a Korean coach too.
For sure, for sure.
Thing is, you have Huni already, right? And then he's probably taught Spica some bad words that they can use.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and I wouldn't be mad if Hooney sticks around for this roster. Um, I think he did a fine job last year, and he has resident status, and like you said, some bilingualcy there. So I wouldn't be mad if he stuck around. And now that we finally talked about TSM, I'm suddenly remembering that there was some advancements in the Double Lift Reginald drama where Double Lift went on stream again and ranted for another 30 minutes. But I'm kind of over it now because I was like 5, 6 days ago.
Yeah, I am too. Honestly, I feel like when it went into day two and like you know any other proceedings, it's just like guys, I don't fucking care. Like
Yeah.
it was like Double went back on stream and it was like, man, look at this guy. He's like saying all this bullshit. It's obviously bullshit. Like and then like there were 15 people from previous
Yeah,
TSM
that was
experience that were
so
like,
weird.
yeah, Reggie's kind of a dick, but like it's just kind of like he's kind of a dick. I don't know. You knew that. I don't know. It was everywhere,
Yeah.
but I don't think I I don't know. I feel like my interpretation of like when you see Odd One and Dyrus and like Amazing and all these like at this point tangentially related like LCS TSM like people talking about it, I was like, these guys are just tired of like other people tweeting or being in their stream chats saying like, what do you think about Reggie and Double Lift? And they're like, guys, I don't give a shit. Like this is like it's obviously a like dick measuring contest. Leave it be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you've said it best, and I'll leave it be there as well. Um, to round out our roster talk stuff, some stuff has been going on around the world. We can just point out a couple of them, and if you want to add on to that, go feel free to. Probably the biggest one that's happened is Reckless to an LFL team, Carmine Corp. Um, and allegedly they were going to sign with some other AD carry and just dropped him last minute to sign with Reckless. Yeah, sounds like a pretty big deal that he's moving down to the ERLs, and that regional league is going to get a ton of more viewership just out of nowhere because of that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of wild. I mean, it's really wild. I don't know that there's anything else to say. Like this is literally less than a year ago was the MVP of the LEC, like the Spring Split
Yeah.
MVP on G2, you know, and then he's probably at this point one of the top 5 LEC players of all time, right? Just it's wild that he's a split removed from being an LEC MVP to just being on an LFL like an ERL team. But of all the places to go, I think I'm glad it's an LFL team if he's not going to be an LEC. Like I would have liked to see him on TSM, but like I don't know. That's like That's just because I would have liked to see him on TSM. I think LFL like has shown that they're a pretty fucking hype league. There's a whole lot of viewership for it. Um, it's pretty massive on its own right, even if it's not a world's qualifying region kind of thing. So it's cool to see that he's still gonna have eyes on him as like one of the goats of the game.
For sure, yeah. Also, a couple more people are going to LFL with AD carry Crown Shot and top laner Vizicachi are headed to that regional league. I'll just blast through a few more ones. Adam is going to be going to Team BDS, which is the team that's going to replace Shauki. And to replace Adam, Fnac has picked up Wonder from G2 for the top lane. And also, I think they're in talks to pick up Humanoid as well for their mid lane. And with that, it sounds like Niski's going to be fucked out of a team at this time,
Yeah.
with some drama going on between FNC and Cloud9, I guess, which is fine. One quick one that was announced today is Broken. Sounds like Broken Blade is going to be going to G2. And then some LCK stuff happened where T1 officially announced that Teddy's going to leave the organization. So we'll see where he ends up. A lot of
TSM.
I know, right? That would actually be crazy. Um, a lot of people entered free agency there. So we've got a couple players from a Freak of Freaks. They released 5 players, including mid lane Fly, AD carry Bang. You might recognize these names. Jungler Lyra, although I think he was just a coach there. And then even Showmaker, Canyon, and Barrel, Chovy and Def, they're all in free agency right now. I think I saw a Reddit post today that Showmaker might not leave, but technically he's in free agency right now. And then Nuguri also left FPX not too long ago as well. So that's just some Eastern Hemisphere international roster changes going on right now. And we'll see if LCS snipes up any of them. But at this rate, it sounds like only TSM could probably afford anything else, because I highly doubt FlyQuest and CLG are going to cash out for any of that.
Who knows, dude? CLG somehow convinced they're like, look, we had all these idiots running our team. We got rid of everybody involved. Now give us the $10 million and we'll go sign you the best team in the world. And they're just gonna get like 2019 damn one all on their own team. I could see it.
Yeah.
Sounds
Actually,
fair.
I guess I just realized that I suppose Smoothie, Pobelter, and are just not going to play in the LCS next year. And I feel like I wonder why nobody's talking about that, or I haven't heard anybody say anything about that. I would hate to see them have to go to academy for some time, but I guess that just suddenly hit me that they're not on roster at this time.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, I don't know. As more of these announcements come through, there's a lot of guys that have been kind of LCS what's the word, journeymen, that are just not going to be on any teams. I don't know. It's definitely a point. This is kind of the stuff where like I'm like this league could have 12 teams. At this point, I'd believe it.
Kind
But
of, yeah.
I mean, they could still be bad teams. You still need to have bad teams.
No,
But
yeah. I mean, a team of like Hanser, Pobelter, Cody Sun, Smoothie. Like I would watch that team, sure. And then
yeah,
just fill in the jungler with it. Could even be like Svenskeren or something. Like, yeah, it sounds like a fine
yeah.
team.
Honestly,
And they could be fifth place. They could be seventh place. I don't know, but I'll watch that team. And they're all free agents right now, so make it happen. Fuck it. Yeah, do
yeah.
it, Mr. Beast. Lastly, to round out our episode, we just got a couple of stories that have come out. First one, real quick, is 100 Thieves signed 14 or 15-year-old General Sniper, one of the two.
No, he's of age now, right? He's 15
He's
for
okay.
sure.
Yeah, I think he's 15. At 16, you can play Academy. At 17, you can play LCS. That's right. And then he also finished the entire. He finished the year rank 1 in solo queue. So congratulations to him. His stock is going up real fast.
Yeah,
A sad story, probably for you, is Niles, former top laner for Golden Guardians, officially retires from professional play, and so he is released from
yeah.
the Golden Guardians organization with that.
I did see that he got married though, so Like if he's happy, then I'm happy, you know.
For sure, for sure. And then a weird thing came out with between G2 and Cloud9, which, to my understanding, there is a clause within the Cloud9 and G2 transfer agreement from Perks from G2 to Cloud9 that even after Perks is not with G2 anymore, there's still a clause in there that Perks cannot be transferred to a Fnatic, and that this is just now coming up that this is allegedly preventing the sale of Perks to Fnatic specifically, and that
Hmm.
Riot has investigated this, and the conclusion of the investigation is Riot's not going to do anything about it, and they're not going to, if something were to happen, they wouldn't prevent the sale of Perks to Fnatic if that were to happen. And if that something like that did happen, then C9 and Fnatic or NG2 would just have to solve that legal battle themselves. And that the only thing that comes out of all of this thing is a ruling that Riot will not allow these kind of contractual clauses to exist in Riot contracts again, I guess. And also that also reminds me that earlier this year they extended the contract length to up to 4 years now as well. But anyways, what do you think about this like weird C9 G2 Fnatic love triangle drama thing?
Yeah, this one was, I don't know, it's definitely
I just think it's
it is
funny. Like
weird.
I think it's funny that like he put that
Yeah,
in there and then like but nobody knew about it and then like I guess somebody must have reviewed this contract and like it's just now coming out that that was in there and I just think that's funny and then like if all the fans get mad about it but like what do you guys are mad about business or something? I don't get it. It's yeah, it's just
right.
whatever.
Yeah, I think it did kind of make sense. Um, like the way Carlos put it, right, was it's like obviously I was trying not to let him go to Fnatic like during that transfer, right? So it was like I'm not gonna let C9 just flip him, because that could probably be lucrative to C9 that they'd be like, Fnatic would be like, look, just buy him out and we'll pay the buyout back to you plus, whatever if they're willing to do the buyout. And it was just obvious, Carlos getting in the way. So like I understand the business part. I do think it is funny that Riot investigated it and we're like, yeah, we're not going to let them do this anymore. But also because C9 just like did the transfer only with Vitality and didn't let Fnatic like have a chance. Like it was like obvious that Vitality was gonna sign him and not Fnatic at all. Like that they were like, yeah, this didn't have any impact. It's not really like it wasn't enforced. Like nothing happened. So it's done. It's like that's pretty funny to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's smart that Riot says like, look, this isn't allowed. But it is also weird that they're just like, but if you do it, figure it out yourself. Like, but it's not allowed. But we're not gonna do
Yeah, it's kind of a garbage ruling in that sense, but
anything.
whatever. I guess this won't happen again.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is there's actually going to be another format change to the LCS. And just a quick rundown from it. They're bringing back the Super Weeks, but most of the time, LCS is going to consist of only 5 games, Saturday and Sunday. So not the 15 game schedule that we had last time. It's going to be 8 weeks, 8 week long double round robins. So actually 1 week shorter than last year, down from 9 weeks. And then they are going to eliminate proving grounds next year. So this year is the last year for proving grounds. And then they're also going to start this thing called Champions Queue, which is a server located in LA, and only people who are high rated can participate in this queue, I guess, in this matchmaking thing. And even then, I guess that part's not confirmed. It sounded like all those details haven't really been rounded out yet, and Core JJ is kind of looped into this because I guess he's been really pushing for this as part of the LSPA, I suppose. Um,
LCS. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so yeah, there's just a couple of quick rundowns for this thing. And then they also it actually looks like they have some announcements for the midseason invitational as well. Um, wow, to take place in Houston, Texas, April 23 to 24. I'm just now seeing this all of a sudden.
You're announcing it as you read it.
Yeah. So, anyways, there's all this stuff. What do you think about the format update as I skim over these MSI details?
Yeah, I think honestly, I'm a little disappointed about the format update. I was one of the like I liked how they had gone with the full season long like standings matter. But I think I'm clearly in the minority about how those things work. If we're not gonna have 12 teams and 50 game long seasons and not playing every game on the weekends, like then then I'm not on the right side of history here. Um, but it's fine. I think that's what the players wanted more was just to go back to let's do the two independent splits and having games not on the Friday, like having like one less day of like one less game day and more practice time is like clearly what teams wanted. So I'm fine with that for now. We'll see how things go. But keeping lock-in tournament I think is good. I'm fine with having everything kind of shake out like it has.
For sure. I also missed a fuck ton of details, so let me go back into that. They are going to bring back the lock-in tournament, and instead, last year or this year, I mean, for the first lock-in tournament, they played it online. This one's going to be in the LCS studio in person, so I'm excited to see the return of the LCS lock-in tournament. Another thing is that your spring records are not going to carry over to summer this time around. And then the spring playoffs is going to be the same thing with the double elimination for the top four teams. Fifth and sixth is just single elimination. And then they'll play the spring playoffs in Houston, Texas, ideally with an in person audience. So I'm looking forward to that. And then it also looks like they're going to delay summer split by a week to give the MSI team that represents us a more of a break time. And then it sounds like the summer playoffs is going to be mostly the same with 8 teams, um, and so forth. And it also sounds like one thing that they're changing again instead of, I believe last year it's like purely off of regular split placements is who you play in the playoffs. But this time around for both the spring and the summer playoffs, the person who finishes first will get to choose their opponent, which did not happen in the 2021 season. Um, so I'm actually really happy to see the return of that, so that it actually matters the difference between first and second seed once again.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't come back to bite them and they'll get the Golden Guardians thing happening again. People complaining.
For sure. But yeah, I'm glad they have all this schedule kind of laid out here in November, and looks like we'll be seeing the LCS lock-in tournament in early January, January 14th to be precise.
Less than 2 months, thank God.
Yeah, that actually sounds kind of short, but yeah, so just 2 months away. I'm still not really that excited, but hopefully TSM and Cloud9 can save the day with bringing some hype to the LCS once again. And I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen to Niski and Jensen.
Yeah, I like how we talked about the expansion teams and didn't talk about either of those guys
I
either.
know, right? Um,
Just casually.
Anything else you want to talk about for this episode? Unfortunately, we can't talk about Arcane, but I'm a little pooped out anyways. Any last topics you want to cover?
Ooh, let's do one more real quick. Like we were talking about the expansion teams. You did the Hanser one. Let's say you can just like get the C9 championship teams like and redo it. You get Jensen and Niski. You can just have one of them play top. You have Sven Skirren in the jungle. You have Sven is ADC, so you have Sven and Sven on the same team. Just pick up some random support. They could do it. You could totally have 12 teams in the LCS, dude.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, and I would have thrown Biofrost in that team to play with Sven. I think that would be interesting. But
Except he's already on
he's going with
Dig. Like
Dig.
that's the
Yeah,
only
so that's the
problem.
problem. I who? Oh, I think Oh, Ignar. I think Ignar could probably go on that
Oh
team.
yeah, Ignar. Ignar's not even on a
Yeah,
team,
so
dude. What the
yeah, there's
fuck?
a lot of players who are kind of missing right now. I'm not even gonna troll and say like X Smithy is still not on a team, but yeah, there's a lot of people who are just we don't know about them, and yeah,
Sneaky and Meteos could start their own team too. Like
Yeah,
Double
and
If's not
throw
in the
impact in
LCS?
there. Like,
Like,
yeah,
how is nobody talking about Double If not being?
yeah. I don't get it, dude. The LCS teams are trolling and hard griefing. Yeah, so there's 12 teams that I would watch. Well, but the thing is, like these extra teams that we had just made, Team 11 and Team 12, I would rather just them replace FlyQuest and I guess just FlyQuest and CLG. I'm not going to care about their roster so much, but I am interested to see how oh, and maybe Golden Guardians, we could probably replace them. But I really am interested to see, and yeah, Dignitas we still don't know about. So there's actually 3 to 4 teams that are not really rounded out. But I am actually looking forward to Immortals, and I guess EG's bold move with their mid and bot lane. That shit better be good.
Yeah, we will see. We will see.
All right. That's going to be it for episode 36 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it. And if you did, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on the service that you're listening to us on if you haven't already. We appreciate if you also give us a rating or hit the like button to show some support as well. And you can find us on YouTube as well as your podcast player of choice from Apple Podcasts to Spotify and so forth. We'll see you all sometime soon for another episode of On the Hunt.
Hey, just remember, guys, Chovy's available.